return to love.
Anyway, remember right.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely.
One with source, in divine connection. One with source,
Yes, exactly.
a beautiful reflection. I am one with source, living in and as and through my life. I am one with source, knowing all is right. You are one with source, in divine connection. You are one with source, such a beautiful reflection. You are one with source, living in and as and through your life. You are one with source, knowing all is right. We are one with source. We are in divine connection. We are one with source, seeing such a beautiful reflection. We are one with source, living in and as and through our lives. We are one with source, knowing all is right. All is one with source, in divine connection. All is one with source, a beautiful reflection. All is one with source, living in and as and through all life. All is one with source, trusting all is right. One with source. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. We are a vibrant spiritual community. It doesn't matter where you're from, where you've been, or whether you've even actually been in our sanctuary yet. You are welcome. We welcome you with open arms. We have a spiritual philosophy called the science of mind. It teaches the oneness of all life and gives you practical tools to reveal your divine nature. Our theme for 2021 is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. Our theme for September is Reaching Higher. And we have a special guest presenter who will be doing a talk this morning, Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadleigh. You will hear more about her later when I introduce her. The title of her talk is How Far Can I Go? And you get to determine your life experience, your life's expression. Anything in the way is a perception and not reality. Reverend Michelle will be sharing her insights and her wisdom about this very, very important aspect of living. Today's service is available right here, right now on Facebook Live. So you can go to our Facebook page and see us right now. It is also going to be rebroadcast. Join our Facebook page and you will see all of our events coming up, which I will be speaking about momentarily. We welcome your support, and there are a variety of ways that you can give to our center. See our list, which is right here in the back. If you're in our sanctuary, you can give through a Breeze link, our website at www.csl.morristown.org, or call our office and leave a message, 973-539-3114. And you can also mail your contribution, but the easiest way is to text us through, and that is a new option that we have, and that is available as well. So, my name is Gail Belluardo. I'm a licensed practitioner here at our center. Our musical inspiration, who you already heard this morning, is Ronda Denet. She brings her lovely gifts, her heart, her soul, and her angelic voice. So thank you for being here, Ronda. And thank you, Michael Malik, for doing our sound, as always. So let's begin with some announcements. We have some upcoming workshops and classes that you will not want to miss. Next Sunday, September 12th, virtually only, so not in the sanctuary, we have Reverend Patrick Harpula, who will be doing his workshop, which is going to be lots of fun. The Joy Factor, a lifetime of infinite freedom. And he is also our special guest speaker at Sunday service beforehand. So following Sunday service next week, we have his workshop, which begins at 12 o'clock. And feel free to sign up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our beloved spiritual director, Reverend Frankie Timmers, is on vacation this week. However, when she comes back, she's going to be teaching an accredited course, a Science of Mind accredited course, From Whence We Came. It is one of the requirements, fulfills one of the requirements if you would like to become a licensed practitioner. And she's offering a free introductory session on September 21st from 7 to 8 p.m. The class itself will be held Tuesdays beginning September 28th through November 30th from 7 to 9 p.m. And on Thursdays in the morning, she does from 9:30, September 30th through December 12th, and that will be from 11 a.m. To 2 p.m. So, and she also, Reverend Frankie, will be doing a workshop, which sounds fabulous. Relationship as a spiritual practice, and that will be a one-time on Zoom event. It will take place on Thursday, October 14th, from 7 to 9 p.m. So, come and join us for all these activities. See us on Facebook, and join in this beautiful community. So we begin at the beginning at our center, and we always begin with prayer. We call it spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and take a nice, deep, cleansing, clearing breath. And know with me that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and it is mine. It is all of ours. It is infinite. It is indestructible. It is resilient. It is life-affirming. It is joyful. It is loving. It is forgiving. It is available, and it is available right where I am. And so I speak this word this morning for that I am presence that is within each one of us, knowing that each one of us is an aspect a representation of this one divine spirit. And in this way, as we come together for this beautiful spiritual service and celebration, we come together in the consciousness of love, in the consciousness of inclusion, in the consciousness of community. And as we come together, we are open, our hearts are open, our minds are open, our souls are available to receive and experience what we are meant to receive and experience today. And whenever this service is experienced, whatever time of day, wherever, know that it is the right and perfect experience for each one of us. And so I bless our time together. I call it good, I call it holy, I call it amazing. And I release this word with profound joy into the universal law of life itself, knowing, absolutely knowing that since it has been spoken, it truly is already now done. And please join me in saying, and so it is. So it is. Amen. And so now it is my honor, my pleasure, my joy to bring forth this next song to Ronda.
There are things that I prefer and things that I don't. There are dreams that I'll pursue and dreams that I won't. No matter what perspective I bring, a question still remains. Am I willing? Love is listening. Am I willing? The law is ready. Am I willing to allow the good in my life? I can choose to be a victim of each and every circumstance, or I can choose to be a victor and strut around in a winning prance. No matter what appears to be, that question still remains. Am I willing? Love is listening. Am I willing? The law is ready. Am I willing to allow the good in my life? There is good all around. It's there for the taking. Step into your birthright with the promise that you're making. I am willing. I'm willing to be open. I am willing. I'm willing to receive. I am willing to allow the good in my life. Oh, I am willing. Yes, I'm open. I am willing. I'm ready to receive. I
Thank you, Ronda. So, what a beautiful song that leads into the talk. Perfect, thank you. So now it is my honor to introduce Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadleigh. Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadleigh is an inspiring and exciting coach. She's a master teacher, a speaker, a workshop and retreat facilitator, and a sought-after prayer practitioner. Reverend Michelle is the co-founder of Planned Happiness Institute and PHI Coaching Academy with her husband, Reverend Neil Pinkman. She founded the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, which many of us know and have attended, 19 years ago. It's 19 years, that's amazing. Kudos. Where she continues to serve as spiritual leader and pastor. Reverend Michelle began her journey to become a Science of Mind minister here at Morristown, and we welcome her back. We are delighted to welcome her back. Please please join me in giving her a very, very warm welcome.
Get very close to this thing. Good morning. I'm showing up here a little bit like a wounded bird without one wing, which made putting on makeup this morning very interesting because I can't really lift the shoulders. I had to lift the arm with this hand with the mascara. It was a scene. It was quite the scene, but I decided I'm going to show up. There's nothing that would stop me from wanting to be here. And yeah, this was my home community, and so when you leave this building, I will be grieving with you from afar. I have a lot of memories, lots of memories. This is where I gave my first little 5-minute talk for a solstice, where I was installed as a practitioner, and then it felt like a minute later installed as a minister, and it was a beautiful experience. This is my home. This is the vibration of my Science of Mind life. Was given birth here. So good for you all. And as we were chatting before service, Reverend Frankie and I have been prayer partners for. I don't think it's an exaggeration. I think it's 18 years. And my third son was, I was not pregnant. I got pregnant right after arriving here. And he was always part of everything we did. And I remember he was mostly quiet most of the time, but I remember having him in the car seat, and he would, whimper a little bit, and people would turn around and they'd see it was Seth, and they'd go, oh, okay, because he was one of us. And this community raised my child with me. We would be down in hospitality, and I was the consummate volunteer. I mean, I volunteered for everything all the time. It was just who I was. It was my nature. And I started in the kitchen because, first of all, I'm a foodie. And that's a good place. It's always a great entree into a new community. And I would volunteer regularly doing that, and taught the kids and the teens and on the build. So many memories, so many things. But when Seth would be around and I'd be busy, all of a sudden I'd be looking for him like this. And someone would see me and they'd point down. Somebody had picked him up, was feeding him, taking care of him. That's community. That's community. That's the live experience of it takes a village to raise a child. Now, my child will not claim that he's a Science of Mind person. He will not ever probably step his foot in the church again, but the church will never leave him. I can tell the way he shows up in the world. When you get it that young, and you get it that completely, it's in you. It's part of who you are. And so I will forever be grateful, for that experience. So the talk for today was higher and higher, and it's interesting how Reverend Frankie asked me to serve the title, the theme for the month. And I looked at it and went, huh? And then that's always the first view. And then I lived into it, and that's what we do. We're given a title, and I'm sure the process is the same for her. And for the whole week prior, your thoughts come, stories come, inspirations come, quotes come, and you start, I call it living into the title. And you just start to gather these things. And suddenly, it came alive in me in the most beautiful way. So the title, How Far Can I Go, is really all about, using our consciousness. And I know that I'm not going to say anything you haven't heard 1,000 times. Because the truth of this teaching, it is so ridiculously simple that we have to complicate it to talk about it. We have to complicate it just to have something to do for 52 weeks of the year. It all comes down to, as what's the G quote by Jesus?
It is done unto you as you believe.
Thank you, Lori. It is done unto you as you believe. That's it. Shut off the lights and let's go home. And yet, our human nature causes us to have things that get in the way. Because we are born perfect and we are born whole. The problem is we're not given the skills early enough to discriminate about the influences of life that come at us. So we consciously, sometimes in standing up against them, or unconsciously absorb these things that stand in the way. Now, to ask the question again, how far can I go, without sounding some like metaphysical guru, from The Secret, you can have anything you want, just wish it. The truth is you can, but everything you want and everything you might desire has a price. The price is your investment in what you're willing to trade off for having that thing or that experience. For example, if you are, it's okay to want more. It's okay to want things outside of yourself. That's the perception, though, right? The perception is there outside of us. So what we have to do is we have to cultivate, and your song was so perfect, Ronda, and those songs were just so stunning. We have to cultivate the willingness. So in order to cultivate the willingness, we have to heal the distractions. We have to heal the doubt. This is not new. This is not new to any of you. But I want to read something to you from Carolyn Mace. To fulfill your divine potential, and even to resolve the many issues of daily life, you must enlist a higher plane of consciousness. You must get beyond reason to where you can see and understand the symbolic or greater meaning of the experiences. Your quest for meaning is in itself a form of spiritual practice. Questions such as, why have I been born, and how do I find the voice of God within me, are in fact spiritual invocations, prayers that are answered not in words but through experience. These questions activate your divine potential, energize your archetypes, and compel you to complete your agreements or contracts with other people. Okay. Our job as metaphysicians, because that's what you are, science of mind is a metaphysical teaching, a spiritual metaphysical teaching. Metaphysics, as you already know, means to go beyond the physical. So our job is to develop our faith. I usually talk with two hands. This is very, very distracting. But our job is to be able to see through, see above the evidence, the false evidence that appears real to us. That is no small thing. That's why even if it has to do with what we believe, all of you being who you are, your mind, your heart, your beingness is a muscle that you must cultivate. And when I'm coaching individuals, they think it's funny, but more often than not, what's in the way is sloppy thinking. Sloppy, undisciplined thinking. And so the sloppiness and the lack of discipline comes around to someone just believing the chatter. Because most people, unless you're in a community such as this, have not been given the skill to say, no, I'm not believing that. And it has to happen over and over and over again. Reverend Dr. Tom Johnson, who was once a minister here, many, many years ago, and then I was, as a young, I was never young as a practitioner, but as a new practitioner, he came as a guest speaker one time, and I remember him standing there saying, to you, the reason why we treat is so we don't have to treat. And I remember thinking, bah humbug, that's ridiculous. It wasn't ridiculous at all. It wasn't ridiculous at all. The reason why we use spiritual mind treatment is we are cultivating the inner landscape of our being. Our inner landscape must be cultivated. And if you're doing the work and you are cultivating that inner landscape of thoughts, ideas, belief systems, you're disciplining the mind to not be lazy. You grab hold of what's possible instead of what's not. And you do everything you can to feed that part of you. Then what becomes possible is you don't actually have to stop and treat for the individual things of your life. You live into it. It's often why so many individuals come to these communities. They get the teaching and they move on. Because when you get the teaching, eventually you become the teaching. And it's no longer required for you to have to force things into place. You walk in the consciousness that you have cultivated. You get that? Way different from, wait a minute, I want a new car. I have to stop and treat and get a car. Wait, I want a new relationship. Wait, I have to stop and treat. When you become the teaching, when it is the very fiber of your being, life shows up for you on your behalf, like a path laid out before you. In the beginning of COVID, remember that? Doesn't it seem like hasn't time taken on a new way, a new experience? It's absolutely mind-blowing. Because I want to say the last time we were at the center, and I'm talking about my community, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that was a year and a half ago. But at the beginning of COVID, my husband and I, we live in Denville. My husband's a minister, and he's the executive director of our center. We were renting a home that we've now purchased. So what happened was, the owner of our home texted my husband and said to him, pay me half rent for 3 months. We went, what? He offered, he proactively said, pay me half rent for 3 months. Where did that come from? Did it come out of nothing? Oh no. It came because we have cultivated a life, a way of being, and a consciousness that opened the door for the possibility. It doesn't happen without cultivating the possibility. What an incredibly gracious gift that was, right? So we had not treated for it. We were not even in conversation about the concern of it. We were simply doing life. We were being our prayerful, meditative, conscious selves. And because of that, we cultivated in collective, between he and I, a collective inner landscape of receptivity. You must create and cultivate and fertilize an inner landscape of receptivity. Anybody here, if there are any gardeners here or people that just love plants and such, you don't fertilize a plant from the top down. You don't fertilize the leaves. You fertilize the soil. You fertilize it there, and then systemically the plant draws up from the soil the nutrients that it needs. That is why we meditate, pray, for me, practice silence, practice self-care, practice contemplation, because these are the things that cultivate the soil and paves the way for possibility. When you cultivate the inner landscape and the fertile soil, you don't have to ask. You simply live into the request of your life. Does that make sense? You get that?
Absolutely.
And so now, even though I'm saying it like it's effortless, au contraire, because you have to be willing to give up the collective belief systems that really are unfortunately, there are a few things that we all collectively adopt and believe. I'm sure you've heard them all the time. The collective is, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. We must, as spiritual metaphysicians and warriors, and I think of this as being a warrior, we must, as warriors, look those things straight in the eye and say, oh, hell no. This is not my reality. This is not who I am. This is not governing me. And we must effort our way to be free of it. We must stop coming up. That belief system that I am living, and I am enough, and I am lovable, my inner landscape becomes this fertile place of possibility, right? It becomes a fertile place of possibility. So how far can I go? As far as I want, as much as I'm willing to believe, but as much as I'm willing to also, there is a trade-off. And the trade-off might be that you have to train, you have to practice forgiveness. So let's say you want a new wonderful relationship. In order to have that new wonderful relationship, you better have a forgiveness practice in place. And learn how to let go of your past hurts. And learn how to forgive yourself for believing in the limitation. Often we leave that part out. We forget. We forget that we have to forgive ourselves for suffering. You and I have unconsciously adopted things, and they have been sitting in the subconscious for many, many years. If you are practice in spiritual mind treatment and you really have adopted it as your life, I encourage you to consistently, strongly instruct the subconscious, and I'm being very specific here, instruct the subconscious in releasing the stuff that's in the way. So one of the practices that I use in all my classes, especially my shadow courses and my forgiveness courses, is we have this mantra that we'll use. I'm going to have you just join me for a moment. They're very simple, but it's very powerful because it redirects your attention from the outside to the inner. Okay? So I'm going to give you the line, then I'm going to ask you to practice it along with me for a moment. There is no outside. there is no other. And come with me now. There is no outside. There is no other. There is no outside. Keep going. There is no other. There is no outside. There is no other. There is no outside. There is no other. Where do you go from there? Now here's the weight of that message. And I see one couple here that I know. When you are in a couple and you believe there is no outside, there is no other, you and a young man over here, you have got to own all of it. You've got to own all of it. The moment if you are tempted to critique your loved one, you better turn your attention back around to there is no outside, there is no other. Because as long as we think it's there, we will never have the power within ourselves to transform it. The power of transformation comes from ownership and responsibility. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So, the other thing for how far can I go is we spoke about responsibility and ownership and to cultivate the inner landscape, but it's to live with a yes consciousness. My first spiritual teacher taught us, she'd just say yes. Just keep saying yes. And it can be scary. Yes is a scary thing. Just like the prayer, thy will be done, there's no scarier prayer on the face of the earth than saying thy will be done. Because normally you haven't prepared yourself for what comes, for what follows with that. But when we live in a yes consciousness, and I want to tell you a quick story that happened at the very year that my community opened. I remember driving, I was in a car, I don't know why, and I got a phone call from somebody who knew somebody. Actually, it was a member of a friend who was on the Agape choir. And every other year, Michael Beckwith and Ricky and the choir, they would come to the United Nations. He would address the United Nations, and the choir would sing. And what happened was, back in the day, they were not very organized. They were not. And so what happened was they would come here, but they really needed to raise some money to pay for all the costs of all that stuff. And I think like 75 of the choir members came at that time. It was a huge amount. So the phone call came as, Reverend Michelle, would you like to host the Agape choir? Hello? What would you say to that question? Oh, yes. Now, mind you, I didn't have a building. We didn't have a building. We didn't have anything. We were new. We were maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks into the experience of having a community. But I said yes. And then I was like, ooh. But I said yes. Guess how much time I had to prepare for when they were arriving? 17 days. In 17 days, we organized, I had to find a building, first of all. And then I wound up finding a building, and the minister of the building, it was the First Congregational Church in Morristown, and they were so excited that they caught the vision, they didn't even charge us to use the building. We had to organize marketing, sound system, we had to transport the choir from New York back over here, then back again, and then we organized people coming from here to the United Nations to see the address and participate in it. The yes opened a possibility for my community. Now, I'm telling you, it's hysterical. Ricky Byers really we didn't know each other yet. Now we're good buds. She had no idea who I was and what I was capable of. I was, what do they call that, filled with the Piss and vinegar, is that what they say? I was filled with that. Right as a new minister, I was like, yeah! I had no clue. But the success, we had like 400 people. We sold 400 tickets to this concert. It was in the winter. The weather was not participating that well. It gave confidence to my community. We looked beyond the limitations. We all learned a lesson that established who we were as a community. And from there, we could confidently move forward in other activities. So a yes consciousness, and not yes, oh, is it going to work? Yes, oh, can I do this? No, you say yes, and you commit to the yes. How far can you go? How big can your yes be? And so what if you fall? So what if you fail? So what if you make a mistake? I have failed at so many things. If I had a lot of time, I'd tell you all about them. I'm not afraid of failing anymore. I'm here. I'm 64 years alive. I have failed at many things, and I have succeeded at more things, thank God, than I have failed at. But to avoid failure and to avoid pain, that's one of the things that keeps us from embracing possibility. So what we're here to do, if we're true metaphysicians, is we're here to collaborate with possibility and not collude with less than. You get that? We want to collaborate with possibility and not collude with less than. And if you are willing to do it, and I don't care how old you are, the world is still here waiting for each one of us to embrace who we are. So you and I can go as far as we can imagine. And that's the one other thing, although I've run out of time, but that's the one other thing. Everybody here know Neville Goddard. Frankie, Neville Goddard was a magnificent teacher. If you don't know him, please look him up, and all you need is his first name. And Neville said, imagination is another word for God. And now we know with brain sciences that imagination activates possibility in the brain, because your brain doesn't know whether something's real or imagined. So we cultivate an inner landscape that's healed and whole and receptive. We say yes to life, and then we imagine what our reality is that we want to experience. Right? Let's treat. Let's bring this into prayer. And if you will, I invite you to put your hand on your heart or on your body somewhere. This is just to connect. You want to connect your, oh, that hurt. You want to connect your prayers with your body temple. You want to have it be alive inside of you. So know with me right now that there is a power and a presence and a love. It is grand, it is glorious, it is truly magnificent in all ways that are possible. I trust and believe that this word and the potency of this word is made possible because of the indwelling God, indwelling spirit, indwelling life. It is good and very good. And I invite for each one of us on behalf of everyone here or listening or later on, that there is a sacred and divine yes waiting for your agreement. There is an invitation to be gloriously expressed, beautifully, magnificently, gloriously expressed. Let us each decide to believe in ourselves. Let us decide to rise up and have an extraordinary life experience. So with our yes, and if you want to whisper a sweet yes to yourself right now, just say yes to God. Yes, I'm willing. Yes, I'm open. Yes, I'm available. And allow this yes to pave the way. I am bountifully grateful for the place where God resides within, for this truth that allows each of us to be extraordinary. I surrender this word with gratitude, and I let it be so. to love, to law, and to the awe of life itself. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. I don't want you to get confused with my papers.
So,
Thank you, Reverend Michelle, Reverend Dr. Michelle, for that awesome talk and practice. And I just wanted to say yes. Take these words that you've heard this morning, bring them into your heart, into your consciousness, into your week, into your relationships, and just allow yourself to cultivate that consciousness that Reverend Michelle was speaking about. And I invite you also to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Meetup. I'm probably forgetting YouTube, and this will be recorded, so thank you, Michael, for your service. And thank you, Ronda, for that awesome inspiration, and please sing us out.
Peaceful sleep. I am home. This I know. I am home. This I know. I am safe and I am whole. This is the truth I know. When I open up my heart, I let Spirit guide my flow. As I move throughout my day, I count the blessings as I go. As I lay back down to rest, I say thanks and it is so. I am whole. I am whole. This I know. I am whole. Yes, I am. This I know. Ooh. Happy Sunday.